What happens when Japan meets up with Kentucky? What happens is in this bottle. Hello everyone, my name is Wayne.
And I'm Rebecca.
We are Your Bourbon Journey.
Well, first I want to say thank you to Lofted Spirits and Bardstown Bourbon Company for providing us with this media review bottle before the retail launch coming up on Friday. We're very excited about this. We're huge fans of Bardstown Bourbon Company, and we've loved all of the Distillery release series. They've been amazing. Love what they're doing, and I cannot wait to dig into this one. To start with, I want to give you a little background on the co-aging of this bottle, because that is pretty unique. This is not your typical blending experience at the end. Instead, Japan shipped 5-year-old Japanese single malt over to Bardstown, and then Bardstown put it into barrels that had angel share missing from it to fill those barrels some more. So unlike traditional finishing, where a mature whiskey is dumped into an empty wine cask or spirit cask, this release marks true integration. The mature Kentucky bourbon and the Japanese single malts were introduced into the same barrels together and then co-aged for a full 12 months. Another interesting point is that the Japanese portion of this is all Japanese single malt, and we'll talk about that more in a few moments. So that's pretty cool. I love the play on, we're going to get back at the angels, was part of what they were talking about in the press release, that the angel share takes things out of the barrel and the barrel keeps getting lower and lower. And we've got some old Kentucky bourbon in here, and the angel share was down. So instead of waiting to the end and blending these things, they poured this Japanese single malt into those barrels to fill them back up. Now, how fun is that? I love that.
All I can think about is barrel rolling up and like, fill her up. Fill her up. Yeah, just throw this stuff in, this Japanese single malt. Japanese single malt? I'm looking forward to this. I like single malt.
Yeah, because we're single malt fans and we do enjoy Japanese whiskey. And of course, we're huge Kentucky bourbon fans. So let's smell this and take a look at the legs and all that kind of stuff to start with. I just can't wait to see. None of these distillery releases have disappointed us. They've all been amazing.
Well, actually one has disappointed.
What do you mean?
Normandy. We never got it.
We never got it. But we were able to taste it in Bardstown.
We did.
And it was really, really good.
It was really good. That was always disappointing because we couldn't get it. It was really good.
Everything they've done in that whole series has been pretty amazing. Dan Callaway, you're doing some really fascinating work there. Appreciate it. What are we getting there? I'm getting fruit notes.
I'm getting a real sweetness on here that's very different than what I normally get on bourbon.
Well, that's what I'm feeling is the sweetness is kind of the fruit that I think I'm getting. Wow. And I did read about the mash bills for each, so I do know that I'm going to have to go back and look in a second here, but I believe part of the Japanese single malt was finished in plum liqueur barrels. So This might be some plum we're picking up here.
It could be. The sweetness, I don't believe it's a confectionery sugar or anything like that. It must be fruit.
And then the other piece for the other part of the Japanese barrels was in cherry wood, Japanese cherry wood, which has some interesting fruit notes as well. So,
holy all over the place, Batman.
I love the notes. It's delicate, but it's got a lot going on. Sometimes when it's delicate, you don't really catch things that much.
I can pick up the fact that this is single malt in here. It's like the single malt went out and had a party the night before with some sweet thing and got lit and woke up the next day and turned into a beautiful, beautiful bourbon.
Look at what these legs are doing. Wow.
There's some nice legs, too.
So I'm going to torture you a little bit and not let you drink it.
We become a sniffing channel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I hope you've been...
I want to take a moment and share with everyone what is actually the juice that's in these bottles. So what this is made up of. So let me share that now with you before we get to the tasting part. So as you know, this is Bardstown Bourbon Company in Kentucky and also Mars Distilleries in Japan. One is in Komagatake and the other is in Tsunuki. The mash bill, of course, is a multi-component blend. So first of all, we have 69% Kentucky bourbon that is 74% corn, 18% rye, 8% malted barley. We also have an 8% Kentucky bourbon that is 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% malted barley. Now the 20% Mars Komagatake is 100% malted barley, as is the 3% Mars Tsunuki. The proof on this is 109.8, and the MSRP, as all of these Distillery Reserve releases, is $99.99 for a 375 milliliter bottle. This will be released on Friday, May 29th as a Distillery exclusive. One other note, the Komagatake single malt brings a fruit profile because it was matured in plum liqueur barrels. The Tsunuki single malt has a delicate spice because it was matured in rare sakura or cherry wood barrels. So now we know a little bit more about what is in this glass, which is lots of stuff. 2 different Kentucky bourbons, 2 different Japanese single malts.
Also know something else right now.
What's that?
Most of this stuff I can't pronounce.
I probably didn't do it justice either, but I tried. So let's get back to this. Now we've already smelled it, twirled it, looked at it. So let's go ahead. I am ready to taste it.
Well, cheers to the Mars Single Malt Japanese Whiskey Blend.
Wow. So much happening.
I'm not sure where to start. I'm getting a lot. Brown sugar is one thing that's coming to mind, but believe me, there's a lot more than this.
That's probably coming from that 16-year-old Kentucky bourbon in there.
There's the single malt component is slightly there. There's a lot of sweetness that, once again, it is not confectionery sugar. This is fruit. It might be plum. I'm going to have to try this again and probably again. There's a lot here. This is an explosion in your mouth of flavor.
I'll just start by saying it's incredibly pleasant. It feels, while Wayne's talking about being an explosion, it still feels very balanced. It doesn't feel like anything is just knocking you over and playing the lead role. It's very well blended, I would say. So that's probably why we're having trouble picking out particular notes, because it's just all working together.
I definitely get the single malt component with it. I'm getting barrel notes. There's a darkness with it, and at the same time, there's a fruitiness with it.
Yeah, and I'm getting kind of a caramelized, dark, almost burnt sugar kind of a thing, like you'd get on a creme brulee. And I think that's got to be coming from those older Kentucky bourbons. But then what's lightly floating across the top are the Japanese single malts, because I'm getting little hints of that plum and hints of that cherry wood that's just bright and light. It's fascinating to take what I would know as a profile in a 12-year and 16-year-old bourbon and then add these 5-year light components to it. It's making the older bourbon just sing. I don't know, that probably sounds crazy because bourbon doesn't sing.
I think it's giving it a new life, because a lot of the times when you start getting older bourbon, and one of the complaints that we hear on channels is the older it gets, it starts to take on that barrel note, and a lot of people don't like it. You know, I do. I really enjoy it.
I do too.
So for me, I'm really enjoying this because I think it's the perfect balance of bringing some new life into something that's kind of old, you know, and it's cool. It's a really unique, outstanding pour.
Yeah, I'm going to have another taste and then also start thinking about the finish a little bit. It's delightful. I mean, it is just bouncing around and singing in my mouth. I'm so glad this was a spring, early summer release. It just makes sense right now. I'm getting some pops of that cherry wood right now. That's what I'm getting the most on my palate at this moment.
I would agree. The cherry,
that sakura.
The more you drink this, I think the cherry becomes more apparent.
It starts layering in your mouth because it's got great viscosity, so it's hanging in there so that you do another sip and it just layers on top of it.
And the back finish for me is cherry wood. I can't describe it any other way. It is cherry wood. And it's not a really long finish, but it's a good finish. It's a nice, pleasant, warm, I'm not going to kill you finish. I want to cuddle you, make you feel loved in that.
Well, I do think it's a long finish, but I don't think it's a hot finish. I think it's long and warm, like you were saying. But I think it's long 'cause it's still going on for me. And it's got nice little char to it. It's got some kind of caramelized sweetness going on, as well as hints of that cherry wood, as you said, that kind of brightens it up and keeps it from being just too tannic. There's nothing tannic about this whatsoever. And it's lingering. It's very lingering. It's not hot. And so there's not a lot of spice, in my mind, not a lot of spice happening back there. And so some people would perceive that as not happening, but there's so many other things going on that I'm enjoying it. It's going to be a great summer sipper because you'll just want to, you could be outside on the patio when it's warm out and it would still be lovely, just lovely.
One thing I'm really liking about this that is different than a lot of the pours that we have is the mouthfeel on this is really hanging around. You know, a lot of them tend to go away, and that's fine. I'm not knocking it, but this one here is really sticking in my mouth. It's almost like when you were a kid and you would eat peanut butter and stick the roof of your mouth. That's kind of what I feel like right now, that it's hanging around, and it's a pleasant pour. This is really fun.
Yeah, and I think that whole viscosity thing in the mouthfeel is why every time you take a new sip, it starts layering. So you get one thing on the first sip and you start getting something else on the next one and the next one. I mean, if we were to sit down, we did 1 ounce pours today, but if we were to sit down with a 2 ounce pour and really sit on this for an hour or so, I'm just imagining what would be layering through the process, how many more things we would be getting at that time. We did a fresh crack on this bottle. That's what we do on this channel. We do fresh cracks. So you're getting our very first impression on this. Now we sit down later and enjoy a little bit more of it. We might find some more things on here we're not getting right now.
Quite possibly.
But I also want to say, would you recommend that people head to Louisville or Bardstown and try to get this?
Yeah. But if you're a single malt person, I would definitely get this. This is something I believe that you would enjoy. And I definitely would stand in line for this. As far as how it would rank with the ones that we have behind us, including Normandy that we only tried, gosh, I don't know how. I think
so different.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's really like ranking your children. You just aren't supposed to do that.
Oh, I do. I've only got one. So best one is Alex. Hey there. But I think this is different than a lot of the other pours that they have released in this series so far.
Yeah, I love the Japanese influence, although they did have the Aikido one that had the Japanese Sonara piece. But I love the Sakura wood, the finish with this. The cherry wood is really interesting. And what I really like about this series in general, and this one is no different, is that it is a very unique approach to something. They're trying either woods or processes that have not been done before or have been done very little or not on a scale like this. So while we have a few bottles of whiskey, these are always just so different from anything else we have. And I think that's what I super appreciate about it. Now, I also want to say that this drops on Friday the 29th, and it is a distillery only exclusive. If you're in the Bardstown, Kentucky area, you can get it there, or you can go to Louisville, Kentucky. It's right there on Whiskey Row. Super easy to get there. So I highly recommend it. And I also, teaser here, I read that they're doing another exchange program with the same Mars distilleries. This time they've sent Kentucky bourbon over to Japan to put in their barrels. So I don't know how long that's going to take, but I am looking forward to that.
You know, I also heard a rumor that they're going to call that release Wang Chung. So anyway, with that joke, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for your time. And I hope you enjoyed our review of this bottle. And believe me, you need to be in line Friday at either Bardstown in Bardstown or Bardstown in Louisville to get a wonderful bottle of this. If you like what we do, hit the subscribe button. Always remember to drink responsibly. Have a wonderful day. Cheers.
Cheers.